So, Mark, what do you think are some of the biggest barriers to people getting started and sticking with a running habit? And like, what have you seen as you've talked to customers, and how does None to Run help folks?
What people tell me and what I think are slightly different, but I think what most people tell me it's motivation and the pain and injuries that have stopped them from continuing a running practice in the past. The more I think it's a general concept of people not being kind and patient with themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, people want things quickly, and I get a lot of questions about skipping ahead in the plan. It's like, are you training for something specific? No. I go, have you run in the past? Yeah, I never really worked out.
Yeah.
Why skip ahead in the plan?
Right.
Let's play the long game, being patient. And then a lot of people get down on themselves if the workouts don't go as planned, or life happens and a kid gets sick and or they're traveling and they can't get their work done. They were just really hard on themselves. If I didn't do that, then I guess I can't run. I'm not a runner, or I can't do the plan because I missed a couple of workouts. And I'm like, no,
Mm.
it's okay. Would you say that to your kids? Probably not. So take your own advice and say, stick to it, take it slow. The path towards being a runner is not straight up. It's got lots of valleys and
Mm.
peaks, just like life. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as the biggest hindrance. My advice to these people is just to, if you find yourself unfit, it took a long time to get unfit. It's going to take a little bit of time to also get fit. So be patient, enjoy the process.
Yeah. So you're really engaging people at the level of mindset and then also the relationship with self. Like, how do
Right.
they talk to themselves? How do they think about the ways that they treat themselves?
And I'm not like a psychologist,
Right.
a mindset coach by any means, but it's the pattern I see. And I just try to ask the questions and get them to reflect on things and come to their own decisions.
Yeah. Anything else that stands out to you when you think about some of those realizations that you've had building this product for real people who are trying to start and keep a healthy habit?
I've probably said this, but again, like everyone's journey is unique. One uses our resources and our app differently. Everyone lives in different places. Everyone comes from different backgrounds. One conversation that comes up is I spoke to a woman and she was struggling getting her heart rate down during the walking breaks. And so I'm like, okay, tell me more. Anyways, we kept chatting and it turns out, oh, she lives in San Francisco. It's crazy hilly. And so like sometimes the walk break, she would be in the middle of a steep hill. And so I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. What does it look like if you find yourself on a or recovery break that instead of walking up the hill, you turn around and go down the hill and then continue on from there? And I never thought about that. I thought,
Yeah.
if I was going up the hill, I need to go up the hill. And
Right.
anyways, yeah, it just goes to show you like there's just everyone's situation is unique from where they live to how they got to running to what they want from running and where they want to go. Yeah, that's a huge learning for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Maybe staying on this theme of learning, if we just broaden out for a minute, and we'll come back to the product in a moment and look at some of what in the future, but staying in this theme of learning, but broadening out, what's the most important lesson or an important lesson that you've learned as an entrepreneur over these last few years?
If I take my own advice, I would tell them runners, it's probably to slow down. Yeah, stop looking ahead too much at the goals, enjoy the process. I think a lot of it too is focus, get caught up on the different avenues you can work on in your business, whether it's the product, whether it's working on myself as like an entrepreneur or leader, but try not to work on too much all at the same time. Just sticking to one thing and being focused, keep things simple. Yeah, that's one thing. I'm still not great at it, but I think about it a lot more. So I hope I'm getting better at it.
Recognizing that you're still in process, like all of us are, I wonder what are some things that have helped you so far be more focused and maybe focus on one thing at a time or one priority or a few priorities at a time? What's helped you with that?
I think talking to other people, like other leaders, reading, of course, like there's always good books to read. Yeah. And I said, I'm not the best at it, but my personality does lend itself to going deep on stuff. And I'm a curious person. So if I do find something interesting or I want to work on, I tend to see it through. So for me, it's systematic. If I find those exciting things or important things I want to work on, it's just keep going and not start another 3 things at the same time. Because I do starting and seeing things through. And yeah, and working with a coach like yourself, like just talking to people, because it can be lonely, especially we're a small team. It's just myself and Jeff, the app developer, just getting other perspectives and having people as a sounding board. And primarily work from home. So it's like, you need to talk to people, get out of your office.
Yeah, great. Let's stay on this theme and knowing what you know now, the lessons that you've learned over the last several years of starting and running this company. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice when you were starting the journey, what would that be?
I think probably the shift in identity that I had to go through, which took some time. And I think it was just like, yeah, the advice would be just be you. Don't be afraid to be you. There's one unique me, one unique you, and lean into that, because that's everyone's superpower really, is your uniqueness. So just, yeah, embracing who I am and leaning into that would be probably the advice I would give.
Yep. I think that's great advice. And just working with a number of entrepreneurs over the years, it's amazing how enticing it can be to do the comparison game and to look at some of the success stories that are out there and to begin to measure ourselves against other success stories. It's great to have models and people that we look up to, but that can be a slippery slope toward discouragement because we're not those people, right?
Yeah, it goes back to everyone's journey. Everyone's got a unique journey, and
Yeah.
everyone's path is different.
Well, let's talk about the journey that's ahead for None to Run and then also for you as an entrepreneur. But let's maybe start with the company. Where do you see the company and the product evolving in the next few years and what's on the horizon?
I'm excited with AI, and not that I want, again, I don't not want to take the uniqueness of what None to Run is and the stamp of my personality that's on it, but using it to almost leverage me and leverage Jeff, the app developer, helping more people like within the app, whether it's like getting coaching advice, recommending next workouts, even customer support. There's so many awesome ways now where you can leverage large language models and AI to create really good experiences for people and to make their experience better and get answers quicker. So I'm excited about that. Also excited to build out some more plans within None to Run to help people beyond the stage when they're beginner runners. They've graduated the 12-week beginner program, and I'm excited to support them more, because what we've learned through surveys and emails is that not everyone wants to just keep going to 5K, to 10K, to half marathon. A lot of people just want to run and stay fit for themselves because it makes them feel better, makes them a better parent, or to be better role models for their kids.
Yeah.
Whether it's different run walk routines, maintenance programs, that type of thing. So that excites me. I'm also excited to create something for kids. Hugely passionate about youth and movement and exercise. And I know as a society today, with screens and so forth, kids aren't moving as much. And I don't know what the stats are, but my oldest boy's 13 and getting towards the age where a lot of kids tend to start dropping out sports and other activities. Yeah, helping parents and kids build that foundation and love the movement from a young age. I know a lot of None to Runners have done some of these workouts with their kids. I see pictures of stuff, and they're doing it to, yeah, do something together as a family, but also to be a role model for their kids. So I want to lean into that a little bit more. So I've got some ideas around kid specific runs and making them super fun. I've actually recorded some stuff already of my kids being the coaches and giving coaching prompts to run like a cheetah for 20 seconds and then slow down and walk like a turtle for a minute, that type of thing. We'll see where that goes.
That's awesome. And just in case there's any doubt that Mark is willing to really put time into this, what is that's behind you there on the wall, Mark, that might demonstrate your commitment to youth fitness and athletics?
Yeah. So we've got, a small climbing wall.
Yeah.
Area where I work. And so we did a renovation in our house like about 5 years ago. And we had this one room in the back that we wanted it to be like, we didn't know what it was going to be. It was like an open room, pretty high ceiling. So I didn't know that I'd be my office as well. Actually. But I wanted a space where there wasn't a bunch of furniture, kids could move around. And then I don't know where I got the idea, but what an awesome idea is like to make a climbing wall, because it takes up no space and kids can climb on it. They hang from this top thing. We actually have a swing in here. It's not behind me now. It's like a cloth swing, and the kids will swing and boost themselves towards the climbing wall, hold on to the climbing wall, let go, and shoot back towards the back of my head. There's a few dents in the walls from hockey pucks and stuff. It's just like a fun area. To answer your question, I wanted this to be a fun place where their buddies would want to come to.
Yeah.
We're in Canada, so I'm not sure about parts of the US, but kids are into it. They call them mini sticks. So it's like mini hockey sticks, and you can play in the house and stuff. So like our basement has become the mini stick hub of the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love hearing this too, because it's just an indicator of how what you're building in the world through None to Run is integrated with just who you are and how you move through the world and how you do life with your family. So really awesome. Okay, so that's amazing. Anything else like that comes to mind in terms of future projects in the works that you're excited about?
There is one. We're partnering with Edge Hill University in the UK. I think they're just north of Liverpool. And we're going to do a study basically on the efficacy and relationship of None to Run and how it helps beginner runners, not only with their running, but also with their mental health and well-being. So we're at the early stages. We're just submitting the information to their conflicts committee to get approved and go forward with the study. But I'm really excited about this because we know None to Run helps people. And I hear from lots of people who it's helped, and we know that it does help, but to get a bit more details and subjective data that we can point to, not only in our own sort of marketing materials and messaging, but also from other media resources saying, yep, here's how we're helping people, and here's the data and the study that you can read about, which backs all this up. And I've never really been part of a study like that too. So from a personal standpoint, I'm excited because I'll be really involved in this, and I think my name will be mentioned on the study. So for me, it's kind of like going back to school a bit too, going through this process, and we're going to have to recruit runners within the app and stuff. So the study we envision is going to take about a year to complete, depending on the adoption of how many participants we get. But I'm super excited for that one.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And I was just thinking about your story too, and the beginning of your career in exercise science. Like, what a cool, like, full circle moment that this must be to be able to have None to Run participate in a study like this.
Yeah, I feel like going back to my kinesiology degree, and
Yeah.
it's exciting.
So maybe if we bring it back to you, I asked you earlier about what some of your biggest lessons were. But if you project out to the future, you as founder, as entrepreneur, what do you sense is the next big opportunity for your own personal growth as an entrepreneur?
I think it's moving from the sort of scrappy founder stage, trying to find product market fit, to my evolution of being one of the leaders of None to Run, the face of it, and evolving None to Run into a bit more grown up entity, which is funny. It was just like, you and I have spoken about it before, but it's like all the things I didn't want to do after I left my corporate job, which was like meetings and agendas and objectives and goals and that type of stuff. Yeah, my evolution has come full circle, and I'm like, oh, that's why all this stuff is important, because if you want to try to scale something and help more people, you have to have systems in place. So I'm really excited about that. I think that's my next evolution is, being more of a leader and getting more help on things where I know other people can do just as good a job or better than me, and just leverage myself to the high impact things that I know that I'm good at, and the things that only me or Jeff can do. I'm excited about that.
Maybe you answered this already, but I'll ask it anyway. What's going to be the thing that is most challenging for you in that growth trajectory?
I think it's just kind of unknown, a little bit of the unknown. So there'll be some experimenting. Yeah, it's a little bit of an identity shift. I always seem to take my time through these shifts in identity. And I think this is my second identity shift, where I've gone from working in the corporate world to becoming this scrappy founder and found some success and helped some people, to now phase 2 of the evolution is, okay, the None to Run app's been around for just over 5 years now. What's next? So my evolution is, I think, really tied to that.
Yeah. What just occurred to me is earlier you were talking about helping beginner runners make a kind of mindset shift, but maybe even that's a kind of identity shift. And your coaching is allowing them to kind of themselves as they're moving through that sort of transformative process of not a runner to runner. And I hear you offering that same kind of compassion to yourself as you make this next identity shift.
Yeah, 100%. I hear that all the time from my audience too.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, do I need to run my first 5K, or do I have to be able to run a mile? There's no clear answer. The answer is clear to me. Is if you run, you're a runner. It doesn't matter. But other people, it's part of their journey, I guess, too. Like you said, their identity shift is like that sort of pivotal moment, or moment that occurs over time, but when they turned into a runner. And that's powerful for people, I think. When they come to that and they're like, wow. And sometimes it's like, it's a pivotal run or a pivotal week in the program, where people view it and they're like, oh, that looks like a challenging one. And they get through it and they're like, well, guess I'm a runner now.
Yeah. What a beautiful example of how the transformative change happens for anybody in any kind of domain, whether it's becoming a runner, becoming a founder, stepping into your seat as the CEO. Yeah, that's just what a great picture of how that change process works. And it's not always clear, but it's really important that the shift has to happen inside of us. Maybe we can close with just a really open question. Like, you can take this whatever direction you want to, but what excites you most about the future?
I think that's a good question. I think the thing that excites me most is I believe None to Run has built the foundation to help way more people than we currently are. And it's probably helped more people than I currently think it has. Yeah, you never fully know the impact. And then once in a while, I get just people out of the blue emailing me just like literally a thank you, and they tell me their story. And I'm just like, wow. I don't fully know the impact I think the None to Run's had on people, but I'm super excited to can impact way more people and bring that identity shift to a lot more people and get them to it earlier on in their lives that they never thought was possible. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. Yeah, I mentioned to you, I think before this call, about last night, my wife and I at a car dealership testing some cars, talking to a salesperson, and then another salesperson, this woman came up to my wife and she looked at her hat and she said, "Is that a None to Run hat?" And Sarah and I both kind of chuckle, and Sarah's, yes, it is. And did you use it? She said, yeah, I used to be a runner, but got away from me for 10 years and I used it to get back. And now I'm training for this race. And Sarah told her that I was the founder, the voice in the app. And she was like really surprised in a good way. So that was a cool moment.
Amazing.
A moment like you don't know who you're impacting until you get connected with some of these people. Another huge thing to me is the importance to connect with more people because it'll fire me up more and motivate me and Jeff to keep moving with Man to Run, is to keep meeting these people, keep hearing their stories, hearing their struggles, and it'll keep us motivated to make the app better, make our messaging better, make us better.
Yeah, what a great story to close with. I'm so glad you got to have that experience with your wife. And I hope you have more experiences like that. And it doesn't surprise me at all the motivational fuel that it brings back to you. It brings you back to why you started this thing in the first place and what it's all about.
Yeah, excited for the future.
You have good reason to be. And it's been awesome just hearing your story and walking through this. And I'm excited to see what the future holds for you and for None to Run.
Thank you.